Hello everyone, welcome back to the second part of the chapter on the face of it of class 12 from Vistas. In the last video, we discussed about the theory of beauty quoted by Mr. Lamb, where he said that everyone has beauty inside, but people hardly recognize that. The beautiful ones are not always good at heart, and the ugly ones can have a beautiful heart. So Derry was unable to understand. He got confused. He asked, uh, Mr. Lamb asked for his opinion about it, and he said that he had heard people saying beauty is not related to one's appearance. Means he also got the same advices to motivate him to build his confidence. People used to say that it is not related to appearance. Inner beauty is the real beauty. Even a handsome man is the one who does something good rather than one who looks good. Means handsome is called whose deeds are good, whose deeds are positive, and not the one who looks handsome by appearance. Now let us move further. Derry, I won't look different when I am old as you. I'll look the same. I'll still only have half a face. So Derry is very depressed, very demotivated because of his half burnt face, and he says that things will never change. He won't look different when he will grow old as Mr. Lamb. He will look the same, and he will still have half face. Mr. Lamb says, so you will, but the world won't. The world's got a whole face, and the world's there to be looked at. So he says that when Derry said that he will never look different, and Mr. Lamb said that yes, he will. He will always have he will always have half a face, but the world was full of so many things to look at, so he must look at its beauty. So, in Mr. Lamb's opinion, the world is a perfect example for people with deformity. The earth is full of good and bad things, beautiful and ugly places, inhabitable and uninhabitable places, yet we love the earth as a whole, not as a part. Mr. Lamb, he wants to make Derry think of himself as a whole person with good and bad in him. So that is why he says that even the world has got a whole face, means it has got beautiful and ugly places. Some places are inhabitable, some are uninhabitable, but still earth is a beautiful place to live on. And he says that the world's there to be looked at, means at those places are also to be looked at, or to be admired. So Derry says, do you think this is the world? This old garden, Mr. Lamb, when I am here, not the only one, but the world as much as anywhere. So Derry, he questioned him that was the garden the whole world for him? And Lamb said that when he was present in the garden, then the garden was his world. Does your leg hurt you? Derry again asked a question to him whether his leg hurt him. Tin doesn't hurt, boy. So Lamb replied that tin did not hurt, it never pained. Derry again asked a question. When it came off, did it means did he suffer pain when he lost his leg? Mr. Lamb says, yes, certainly, it pained back at that time. And now, I mean, where the tin stops at the top. So he asked again if it pained now where the artificial leg stuck into the real one. Mr. Lamb says, now and then, means sometimes it pained in wet weather. It doesn't signify, means it is not important. So he says that yes, sometimes it pained in wet weather, but it was not that important. Derry says, "Oh, that's something else they all say. Look at all those people who are in pain and brave and never cry and never complain and don't feel sorry for themselves." So Derry here says that he couldn't understand what he meant by all this, as he had heard people saying that you should take a lesson from those who suffer in pain and never cry to complain about their problems. Mr. Lamb, I haven't said it. So he says that he never said these words. Now, Derry, and think of those people worse off than you. Think you might have been blinded or born deaf or have to live in a wheelchair or be daft. Daft means silly or foolish in your head, and dribble. Dribble means fall. So he says that. He continues with his words saying that people told him to look at those people who were in worse conditions than him. They told him that he might have become blind, be born deaf, or be handicapped and have to remain in a wheelchair. He may even have been born with mental disorder. Um, Mr. Lamb says that yes, and that's all true, and you know it. So he says yes, it was true, and Derry knew so much. Means all these things could have happened to him. It won't make my face change. Do you know, one day a woman went by me in the street. I was at a bus stop. So he's sharing one incident with Mr. Lamb and talking about his face that it won't make any change. Means such things, such advices, or making them feel confident by saying that look at other people who are suffering more than you. So he says that by all these words, his face won't change. And he shares an incident saying, "A woman went by me in the street. I was at a bus stop, and she was with another woman. And she looked at me and she said, whispered, she said in a whisper, only I heard her. She said, 'Look at that. That's a terrible thing. That's a face only a mother could love.'" So he said that, I mean, his face, it will never change. And when he was waiting at a bus stop, one day a woman passed by him and he heard her telling another woman that he had such a terrible face that only his mother could love him and no one else could. So Mr. Lamb asked him, "So you believe everything you hear then?" Terry says it was cruel, it was bad. I mean, people talking about him like this. Maybe not meant as such, just something said between them. So Mr. Lamb, he said that firstly he asked him that did he believe what he heard, and Derry stressed that he heard it, and Mr. Lamb asked that was this the only thing he had heard from someone, and I mean the way they talked with each other, the thing was between them, and it was not meant that way as Derry has taken it. Mr. Lamb says, and that is that the only thing you have ever heard anyone say in your life? Means like those ladies were talking about him, and he heard them talking. So he asked that was this the only thing that you have heard from someone? To this, Derry said, "Oh no, I have heard a lot of things. So now you keep your ears shut." So he says that no, I have heard many things too. So Lamb suggested him to shut his ears, means he should ignore all this, means he should not lend his ears to everybody's whosoever is talking about him. He should not lend his ears to them. And Mr. Lamb asked him to keep his ears shut. Derry, you are peculiar, means you are strange. You say peculiar things. You ask questions I don't understand. Mr. Lamb says, I like to talk, have company. You don't have to answer questions. You don't have to stop here at all. The gates open. So when Derry found Lamb's words strange and added that he could not understand his question, Mr. Lamb said that he liked to talk and also liked the company of others. He told him that there was no need to answer him, and as the gates were open, he could leave if he wanted to. Derry says yes, but yes means okay, fine. But he is interrupted by Mr. Lamb. He says, I have hive of bees behind those trees over there. Hive, I hope you understand, it is a dome shaped structure in which bees live. So he had that hive behind the trees. Some hear bees and they say bees buzz. This is the buzzing sound. The bees, they make buzzing sound. So he says the people, some people, when they hear, they say that bees, they are buzzing. But when you listen to bees for a long while, they hum, and hum means sing. I hear them singing my bee. So again, we see a positive side of Mr. Lamb, and as I said, he always find the better sides of reality, and he says that it's people perception that goes wrong, not the realities. Bees produce the very same sound, music for some and irritation for others. If one is happy, the bees sound music, and if one is sad, the bees buzz. So he explored this dual perception to show Derry that it was important for him to change his attitude. And we all know Derry was having a pessimistic attitude, and Mr. Lamb was trying to change this attitude of him. Derry. But I like it here. I came in because I liked it when I looked over the wall. If you had seen me, you would not have come in. No, no, both of them are saying no. So just look at this line. I like it here. I came in because I liked it. This is the first time where we see the positivity in Derry. For the first time, he is accepting that he also likes something in this world. Before this, he was saying that he doesn't like to go anywhere, he doesn't like to be in the company of anybody. So here, for the first time, we get to know that he liked being in the garden. And Mr. Lamb, he said that if you had seen me, you wouldn't have come inside. Derry says no. No means it's not like that. Mr. Lamb says yes, no. So Derry, it would have been trespassing. Trespassing means enter without permission. So Mr. Lamb, that's not why. So, as I said, that Derry explained that he had liked the place from outside, and so he had entered the garden. And Mr. Lamb questioned that would he have entered had he seen Mr. Lamb, to which Derry replied in negative. Then Derry said that it would, if he would have entered his garden, even after knowing that he was there, it would have been without a permission, means it would have been trespassing. Then Mr. Lamb said that was not the real reason. He says that's not why. Means he is not giving the actual reason. Derry. Now he says, I don't like being near people when they stare, when I see them being afraid of me. So Mr. Lamb wanted to know the real reason, and Derry said that he did not like going near people as they got afraid of him and stared at him. Mr. Lamb says, you could lock yourself up in a room and never leave it. So he says that you can lock yourself in a room forever, and uh, I mean, do not leave that room. Then he narrates a story about a man, and he says that there was a man who did that, means who locked himself in a room. He was afraid, you see. So he's narrating a story about a man who locked himself in a room, and he was afraid of everything in this world. A bus might run him over. or a man might breathe deadly germs onto him, or a donkey might kick him to death, or lightning might strike him down, or he might love a girl and the girl would leave him, and he might slip on a banana skin and fall, and people who saw him would laugh their heads off. So he went into his room and locked the door and got into his bed and stayed there. So Mr. Lamb, he narrated this story, and he said that the man, he thought that he would meet with an accident, with a bus, or he would catch infection from someone. A donkey would kick him to death. Lightning may hit him, or he may die because the girl whom he loved may leave him, or he may even slip off a banana and people would laugh at him. So, in order to safeguard himself from all such incidents, he locked himself in his room. Jerry surprisingly asked Mr. Lamb, "Forever?" "For a while." Mr. Lamb said that for a while. Derry said, "Then what?" Means, then what happened? You said that he locked himself in the room and he did not lock himself forever. So, for a while, then what? Mr. Lamb said, "A picture fell off the wall onto his head and killed him." Derry laughs a lot. So, when Derry asked him what happened next, Mr. Lamb replied that a picture fell on his head and he died, and this made Derry laugh a lot. And he said that Mr. Lamb narrated strange talks. He says, "You still say peculiar things," and Mr. Lamb says, "Yes, peculiar to some." Means these things, they are strange for some people. So this with this story, what did Mr. Lamb try to say? Basically, he wants to say that if anything is destined to happen, it will happen. And don't think that if you take good care of yourself, or in the sense you try to take precaution, then nothing will happen to you. Some things are there where precaution is needed, but when something is destined, you cannot stop that. And because you cannot stop that, so don't stop living your life. Live life to its fullest, because whatever is going to happen, it will happen. You cannot avoid it, you cannot ignore it. I hope you have understood. Now let us move further. Now Jerry asks Mr. Lamb that, "What do you do all day?" Mr. Lamb replied that, "Sit in the sun, read books." Ah, you thought it was an empty house, but inside it's full. Books and other things full. So, as I said, Mr. Lamb replied that he sat in the sun, he loved reading books, and he said that the house was full of books. Derry, he looked at the house and said, "But there aren't any curtains at the windows." Mr. Lamb says, "Yes, I am not fond of curtains, shutting things out, shutting things in. I like the light and the darkness and the windows open to hear the wind." So Jerry, when he looked at the house and said that there were not any curtains on the windows, Mr. Lamb replied that he did not like curtains. He liked transparency, light, darkness, and the wind too. So he doesn't like things to be shut in or shut out. Derry, yes, I like that. When it's raining, I like to hear it on the roof. Now, this is the second time we are getting a positive side of Derry. And Mr. Lamb, what he says to this statement: "So you are not lost, are you?" So Mr. Lamb, he commented that Derry was present minded as he could hear. He was not lost in his own thoughts, and he was not away from the reality. So he says that you are not lost, not altogether, means not completely. You do hear things, you listen. Jerry, They talk about me downstairs. When I am not there, what will he ever do? What's going to happen to him when we have gone? However, will he get on in this world looking like that, with that on his face? That's what they say. So Derry, he said that his family, his parents, they worried about him, that what would he do in the future with a burnt face, and how is he going to live without us when we would depart from this world? How is going to survive? So they are all worried and they talk about me. Mr. Lamb, Lord, boy, you have got two arms, two legs, eyes, two arms, two legs, and eyes and ears. You have got a tongue and a brain. You'll get on the way you want, like all the rest. And if you choose and set your mind to it, you could get on better than all the rest. So when he said that his family was, they are always worried about him, that what he's going to do in the future with that burnt face, Mr. Lamb said that, Derry, you have everything. Everything means you are physically complete. You have two arms, you have two legs, two eyes, two ears. And what else do you need? He wanted to make Derry realize that he had so much which many other people were deprived of. Obviously, we see number of people physically disabled, handicapped, but Derry, he was having everything. He was physically complete, except just his face. One side of his face it got burnt. Otherwise, physically he was complete, and he had all his limbs and eyes in place, and he could do wonders with that. So he says that, you have got so much of which many other people they are deprived of. And he added that Derry could accomplish a lot if he determined to do so. Means if he sets up his mind, then he can do better than all other people. Derry asks him how, means how was it possible, and Mr. Lamb replied, the same way as I do, means the way I'm doing, you can also do in the same way. Now, Derry, do you have any friends? Hundreds. But you live by yourself in that house? It's a big house, too. So Derry asked Mr. Lamb that he had any friends, and he replied that yes, he had a few hundreds of them. Derry further said that still he lived alone in such a big house. Mr. Lamb answered, friends everywhere. People come in. Everybody knows me. The gate's always open. They come and sit here and in front of the fire in winter. Kids come for the apples and pears and for toffee. I make toffee with honey. Anybody comes, so have you. So he says that everyone was his friend. Many people visited the garden. He kept the gate of the garden always open. They sat there by the fire in winter season. Kids came to pick apples and pears and to take the honey toffees made by him. So everyone is his friend. But Daddy says, but I'm not a friend. Means he wasn't friend of Mr. Lamb. Mr. Lamb, certainly you are, so far as I am concerned. Means as far as I am concerned, as far as I feel, I consider you to be my friend. What have you done to make me think you are not? So he asked him a question that, why should I think that you are not my friend? What have you done to make me think that you are not my friend? Derry, you don't know me. You don't know where I come from or even what's my name. Mr. Lamb, why should that signify? Means, why should that be very important? Why should it be considered important that I should know your name? I should know the place from where you come. I should know all the biodata of yours before making you my friend. So he says, why should that signify? Do I have to write all your particulars down and put them in a filing box? before you can be a friend. So as I said that Derry said that he wasn't a friend of Mr. Lamb, and Mr. Lamb said that Derry was a friend because he had not done any such thing that should cease their friendship. Derry said that they did not know each other well to become friends. Now, Mr. Lamb did not consider that to be important. He did not need Derry's particulars before becoming friends with him. So he says that it is not required, and is it necessary to write all your particulars in a file and before making you my friend? Derry, I suppose not. No. So he says that no, it is not uh, important. Mr. Lamb, you could tell me your name if you chose, and not if you didn't. Means if you want, you can tell me your name. If you don't feel like, then leave it. Derry. Only it's Derek, but I hate that. Derry. So he says that his name was Derek, but he disliked it and wanted to be called Derry instead. If I am your friend, you don't have to be mine. I choose that. And he further added that if he's Derry is Mr. Lamb's friend, so it is not necessary for Mr. Lamb to be Derry's friend. And he says that I choose to be your friend. It is my wish, and I wanted to be friends with you. Mr. Lamb, certainly. Okay, whatever you have said, it's correct. Derry, I might never come here again. So he says that it is possible that he might not visit the place in future, and he might never see me again, and then I couldn't still be a friend. So as he said that he might not visit the place in future, then they would not remain friends anymore. Mr. Lamb says, why not? Ask the reason for not coming here. Derry says, how could I? You pass people in the street and you might even speak to them, but you never see them again. It doesn't mean they are friends. So Derry replied that one crosses many people while walking down the street, might speak to a few of them and never see them again. So this did not mean that they had become friends. So to this, Mr. Lamb says, doesn't mean they are enemies either, does it? So he says that it did not mean that strangers were enemies if they were not friends. No, they are just nothing people, that's all. So Derry said that they were nothing, just people. Means like we see when we are on road, we see number of people crossing us. So we do not say that they are our enemies or they are our friend. They are simply people moving around. Mr. Lamb says people are never just nothing. Never. So he said that it could not be that people were nothing to each other. There are some people I hate. So Derry said that there were some people whom he hated. That would do you more harm than any bottle of acid. Acid only burns your face. So when Derry said that there were some people whom he hated, and Mr. Lamb replied to his statement that that would do you more harm, means hating people is going to harm you more than any bottle of acid, because acid only burnt your face, but hatred will uh, burn you from inside. So Mr. Lamb, he was a man who tried to look at problems with reduced importance, while Derry thought his deformity was the last word of his life and existence. He said that he hated some people for their hatred and sympathy for him. Means some hated him and some showed pretended to show sympathy to him. So he hated both of them. So seeing the burning hatred in Derry, Mr. Lamb warned him that hatred can burn in and out of a person, while acid can burn part of the body alone. So hatred is harmful. It harms you from inside, it burns you from inside, whereas acid, it just hurt you from outside. And Derry, what he says to this: only means acid burns, acid has only burnt my face. Mr. Lamb, like a bomb only blew up my leg. There's worse thing can happen, you can burn yourself away inside. So when Derry commented that only his face, Mr. Lamb, he said that a bomb explosion blew up his leg, but there were worse things that could happen. One could burn himself up from the inside by the negative feelings. Derry, after I had come home, one person said he would have been better off stopping in there, means in the hospital only. He would be better off with the others like himself, means who were the victims of acid uh, attack, or you can say acid fell on them. So he says that he could be better off with people like who were burnt. Then she thinks blind people only ought to be with other blind people, and idiot boys with idiot boys. So Derry said that when he returned from the hospital, a person had said that it was better if he remained there with people like him, and he added that people think all disabled people should remain together at one place. So to this, Mr. Lamb, what he said: and people with no legs altogether. That's right. Means as he was not having one leg, so he says, okay, people with without legs, they should be kept together. So Terry says, yes, right. Then Mr. Lamb asks, what kind of a people world would that be? At least there would be nobody to stare at you and you weren't like them. So Derry is, he says that that would be a world where at least nobody is going to stare at you and the and others, because all of them would be similar. And when Mr. Lamb added that people without legs should remain together, then how that world would look like, it would become imbalance in that way. But Derry is happy to say that everybody will be alike, so nobody will comment or nobody will make fun of each other. Mr. Lamb, so you think you are just the same as all the other people with burned faces just by what you look like? Ah, everything's different, everything's the same, but everything is different itself. So here in this statement, he says that Derry, did he mean that he was like all other people with burned faces just because they had similar appearance? He added that everything was different, although all things are the same, yet they are different. Different in the sense means we all human beings. We all look alike. Means obviously we have two eyes, two ears, two legs, and two arms, but still we are different from each other. We are different from each other in our thoughts, in a perspective. So he says that though all things are same, but yet they are different. Derry gets confused and say, how do you make all that out? Mr. Lamb says when Derry got confused, he said that how do you make all that out, means how do you see all these things? How do you differentiate? Mr. Lamb says watching, listening, thinking. So by watching, by listening, by thinking, uh, he says that our habits of watching, listening, and thinking differently made us different from each other. Means everybody has got different likes and dislikes. Some people watch uh, like nature, some find beauty in nature, or some think that it's just a waste of time. Some listen to the natural sounds, and some think out of the box. So all these things, they have made us different from each other, though physically we look alike. Derry says, I would like a place like this, a garden. I would like a house with no curtains. So, to this, Derry said that he liked Mr. Lamb's house and garden, and Mr. Lamb, he said that the gates always open, means Derry was always welcome there. But Derry says, this isn't mine, that it doesn't belong to me. All his possessions the place was not his. To this, Mr. Lamb said, everything's yours if you want it. What's mine is anybody's. So Mr. Lamb said that everything was his if he wanted it to be. He added that all his possessions were for everyone, means whatever things that belonged to him, it belonged to everyone. Derry. So I could come here again. Even if you were out, I could come here. So Derry asked him if he could visit the place again, even if he's not there. So Mr. Lamb says, certainly, you might find others here. Means if I am not here, you would definitely get company here. I mean, somebody you will find here. Oh, well, that need not stop you. You need not mind. Derry, it would stop them. They would mind me. When they saw me here, they look at my face and run. So when Mr. Lamb replied that if he visits his garden and he is not there, then also he would find some company. And he added that Derry need not mind other people; no one would stop him from entering the premises. So Derry said that they probably would not like to enter the place upon seeing him. Means Derry, maybe they would look at his face, get scared, and run away. Means if he enters the garden and other people are over here, so they may not stay over there and they may not give him company. After seeing his face, they would get scared and they would run away. So let us stop here and we'll continue in the next video. Thank you.